You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Overwhelmed? That was me with diabetes. Hey, I'm Jabron. Between teaching and coaching, managing diabetes felt like an extra job. With the Freestyle Libre 3CGM, I get real-time glucose readings and have the insights to make informed decisions. My life feels lighter now. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Well, how about that for a weekend? It's like the weekend sports events aren't even over. We got a golf playoff today, Hovland and Scheffler after a wild putt-a-thon at 18. Both guys had birdie putts to win. I don't know how Hovland missed his. Just a little more. Knock it through that last little bit of the break. Couldn't do it. Gutsy save by Scheffler, though, after he rammed his putt 8 or 9 feet past the cup. We've all been there, haven't we? All right, and the World Cup rolls on. Canada's the first team through to the round of 16. The U.S. is coming up on Wednesday. So plenty going on this weekend, including the NHL draft, and I think we'll start there. When we left you, we were preparing for the Utah Mammoth to draft 19th. They traded Peterka to Boston, got 2 first-round picks, then flipped the one that was this year for a goalie, and then took their first-round pick this year and the third-round pick and moved up 2 spots, basically used the 83rd pick to move from 19th to 17th to get the guy they wanted. That was a lot going on all at once. They were moving, they were shaking, they were baking. That was a lot of movement. Now, will it pay off? Man, who knows? The move that leads to the move that leads to the move. They draft Ethan Belchetz. He's going to go play at Michigan State. There's speculation. He's only 18 years old, and he's 6'5", 230. There's speculation that he will go play there for more than 1 year. But they wanted him, and they didn't think he would last at 17. They thought he'd be gone by the time they drafted. So those 2 spots, they move up. And, with the multiple picks, they got a lot of prospects. So they don't need one more. So I get why they would use that. Is Belchetz the guy? Yeah, no idea. No idea. We'll see. The reaction from the brass, well, let's get to it. Bill Armstrong and the aforementioned Ethan Belchetz, here they are talking with the media.
First impressions and what you're so excited about being here with this organization, because I know it was probably a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's been a couple crazy days here, but you step into this facilities and it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. The lounge area, the room, and the gym is so special, and it's super cool to meet all the guys here, and I can't wait to get going here.
And Bill, what stood out about Ethan and being able to have this opportunity to take him and bring him in this organization?
Well, the truth being told, we didn't think he was going to be in our range, and we were so excited at where he was lying in the draft that we had to move forward to go get him. He was a prime target. When we saw him in that range, we were like, hey, we're not going by. We're going to make sure we do everything in our power to go out there, move forward, and get him. He's an exciting player. I just wanted to get a player that was kind of my size. So when we did the interview process, I look thin and skinnier. But he's done a great job at just developing his game. I think he's a true power forward, someone that can do everything in the game, from not only playing physical to going to the tough areas, to taking care of business if someone needs to be protected, one of his teammates. I love the fact that he's really good around the net. And that's the way our game is trending, with the big man around the net. And just, we've got some speed and skill. It's nice to have that true power forward that's coming into the game that can take that next step to help us win a championship at some point.
Ethan, when you were first drafted, you say you're so lucky to be drafted by Utah. What makes you say that?
Yeah, it's special. You hear, Utah's trading up, and you kind of get some tingles in your chest and butterflies in your stomach, and then, you hear your win in Windsor, and it's like you're already standing up, and I'm sprinting to the stage, and the hugs with your parents and your siblings. It's so special, and Utah's it's a special place to play. I've seen a lot of videos. I've never been to Utah before, and it's a beautiful city, and the mountains are awesome, and you watch the games that they play, and the stands look crazy. The fans are awesome. And you can't be more excited.
If you two were going to arm wrestle, who would win?
Is that really the question?
He's a lot younger, so we're not going to do that. Someone would be leaving that getting injured. So yeah, that's.
Ethan, congratulations again. Just can you take us through the last couple of days, what it's been like for you?
Yeah, it's crazy. The time goes by so quickly. It feels like just yesterday I was, getting drafted to the OHL, and now I'm, in Utah as a, NHL prospect. So it's been crazy. It's exciting, whirlwind, and you get down to Buffalo, and the NHL took us, golfing, which is pretty fun, and then Friday comes along, and you get the breakfast with Gary Bettman, and then you're at draft day sitting there with your family, and you get the butterflies, and your heart's beating 1,000 miles per hour, and you finally hear your name, and it's just the excitement, and you do all the media, and then you can't just wait to hop on the plane to get to Utah. So it's really special.
Have you had the chance to talk to any of the NHL guys yet?
Yeah, I was just sitting with a couple of guys here with the past first rounders and some of the other guys, and then some texts from Lawson Krause and Clayton Keller. So that's pretty special, and excited to just meet everyone this week.
Any cool messages from those guys?
Yeah, obviously those guys are awesome people, and just a quick little message that they said congratulations and excited to have me here. So excited to meet everyone.
Congrats, Ethan. Just as you get ready for your first dev camp as a member of this organization, just what are some of the things you want the coaches to see from you this week during camp? Yeah,
just my competitive side. Obviously, I'm going to put, everything out there and bring to the table what I can do. Like you said, I'm a physical, skilled power forward, and, I want to show that I'm a competitive player that, want to win and, doesn't let anyone take the puck from me.
And then, Bill, just as Dev Camp gets ready, you got some guys that are coming back from multiple Dev Camps, and you mentioned a couple of spots potentially be open in the fall. Just what are you looking to see from some of your topper prospects here this week in Dev Camp?
Well, you always look forward to seeing them at this time of the year to see if they've taken a step physically in their development, putting the time in, not only during the year but right after the season ends, and making sure they're getting bigger, stronger, faster. And so we look for that. Love seeing the kids. I think, development camp has changed over the years. You used to come in and exhaust the kids, and now it's about learning for them to get knowledge to be able to take that next step and really go in the dressing room and steal a jersey, right? That's what it's about. It's they're here to learn as much as they can to get that knowledge to go back home, get them themselves to the top point of their development and come in and earn a job. And that's a hard thing. But I think kids these days and the prospects are much different in their development. I think they're farther ahead than they've ever been, and it's not out of reach that someone in this development camp can come in here and steal a job. There's a lot of talent, and he's one of the pieces of the talent that have the ability to come in and get a job. So I think it happens quick. They have to be prepared. I think they're going to learn a lot of things this week. They're going to help advance them. I think sometimes when kids come in, and they're like reading hockey news, how good they are, all the ratings, and all of a sudden then they get in the real world and they not only see the prospects, and I think our prospects are different. We've got a lot of top end guys been drafted at the top of the draft, and then they see the real NHL players come in. It's an eye opener about how good they actually are. But there are kids that are going to development camp that are going to play in the National Hockey League, and they have to have that dream, and they've got to have that hard work behind it.
Bill, did you have any kind of inside inclination that if you didn't trade up that you were going to lose them outright, or is it just you didn't want to take the chance?
I think as a staff, our staff, Darryl Plandowski at the helm, he has a really good feel for what's coming our way, how many picks are there, and I think you get down to that point in the draft where you're like, okay, there's one guy on the board that we really, really love that's left, on our list, and we're going to go after him. We're going to do everything in our power to get up into that spot to get him right now. We're not waiting around. So I think you just come to make that decision, and it happens quick. But once you make it, you're all in, and we're super excited about getting Ethan. He's someone that fits into to our mold of what we need and into our culture. We did a lot of research on him. about his work ethic, and from his coaches in the OHL, and getting to watch the whole year, he's impressive.
Ethan, is there anything in your game that you're really looking to improve upon at Dev Camp?
Yeah, for me as a bigger guy, that skating aspect with the first couple steps and just my pace and play in general. I've already talked to the nutritionist here on how to get faster, leaner, stronger, so I can improve on those things for me. And I think if I can fly around the ice a little bit quicker, I'm going to be that much more effective.
Bill, how exciting is it for you to see 4 first-round picks in this Dev Camp?
Well, I think it's great, and I think they're all watching each other, too, to see how good they are. And I think there's a competition, internal competition is the best thing that you can have. It just pushes everybody. And I think when you line up in the drill and you're like, hey, that guy, he's a first rounder, and I'm going to try and out-compete him in the drill. And I think it's just a good level of competition. These guys didn't make it to this point in their life and being at an NHL rink right now because they weren't competitive. So I think it even pushes them to a higher level when you have that many first rounders in your camp.
And to build on that, I guess the bond part of Dev Camp for these guys. As a GM, how important is Dev Camp for the development of your prospects in the pipeline?
Well, part of it is bonding. If you can get the kids in here and get them comfortable, that's sometimes when you go to camp, you're so nervous, you're burning adrenaline, you're not sleeping, and you're just it doesn't allow you to bring your best game when training camp occurs. So we've always felt like through the bonding, guys getting to know each other, getting to know the facility, feeling comfortable in the environment, we get the best out of them in development camp, in rookie camp, and also in training camp. And so that bonding is huge. I mean, part of it is our whole culture here, the environment that coach runs, is there's an enjoying atmosphere of you wanting to come to work. And that's the first thing that the kids will learn when they come in the door. There's a great bonding. There's a great environment to develop. It's a good place to come every day. You get beautiful mountains that surround the rink. It's a beautiful place, and I think in the past we want this facility and the environment where people want to come and get better every day.
And then Ethan, while we're all in this room, will you set the record straight and just say your first and last name for us so we always pronounce it correctly?
Ethan Belchetz.
Just a moment ago, Bill said that you have a chance to make the team out of camp. I know it's not a super common thing for guys to make the team in their first year, but last year it happened. 10 guys maybe that were drafted in the first round played in the NHL right away. What does that make you feel when you realize this is an opportunity, like I could be on an NHL roster in 3 months here?
Yeah, for me, I already have that expectation for myself. I'm a big guy. I have the size already, and I'm going to do everything to take that spot and earn a job for myself. So it's cool to hear him say that, but internally, I already have that mentality.
All right, the Utah Mammoth get their guy, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens. This Peterka deal and Josh Doan, is Doan the guy? He has a great year in Buffalo. Is he going to continue this? And they give him up to get Peterka. And Peterka's numbers are down, and, in defense of him, he didn't get as much time on the power play. But, if you're not good enough to get on the power play, then are you good enough? Move into Boston, get the picks. And create cap room. What are you going to do with that money, right? So it's dominoes falling one after another, and we got to wait to see where all the dominoes fall. Now, they did use one of those picks to go get Sebastian Cossa from the Detroit Red Wings. They had the 23rd pick that they got in the Boston trade, and they send that to Detroit. So is he their goaltender of the future? He's a big dude. Big dude. 23 years old, 6'7". Big dude, right? All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, David Locke, Brendan Haywood talking NBA hoops, Jazz, free agency, NBA trades. Where do we go from here? Stay with us.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke joined us on Friday to put the draft in the rearview mirror and look ahead to free agency trades. What are they going to do from here? Here's David Locke, a couple of, Friday references, but you get the point. Here's David.
David, good morning.
We're back at Friday, the day that I'm supposed to talk to DJ and PK. You cap it off with the two greatest of all time, and that's what I get to do. David James, an institution in the state of Utah, staying longer than Stockton and Malone. Wait, what's going on? Oh, you're just making sound effects. Okay. And then Patrick Kinahan, maybe the most brilliantly misunderstood man on the planet.
Boo.
No, why would we boo PK?
They're not booing. They're chanting boozer.
Question I pondered.
I personally just want, in life at this point in my life, I want authentic curiosity and pure authenticity in life with people. And there's no one that's more authentic than Patrick Kinahan, other than no one's ever told him his singing sucks.
We should put it out there. Does my singing suck?
It sucks. Okay. Just thought I'd let you know. Really, really, really sucks.
That's the point.
So many questions for you this morning, David. Let's start with this one.
All right.
The Jaylen Brown trade rumors.
I'll be short-winded. How's that?
Okay. Jaylen Brown trade rumors. Portland, Atlanta, New Orleans, 4 first-round draft picks. That's what the Celtics are going to demand. Should Utah get in on this, it would almost certainly mean Markkanen gets moved. If they want a second starter, I'm out of the pool. I don't even want to give up the 4 draft picks either, maybe 1 or 2. What do you think? Should the Jazz get into this? Where's the line in the sand where they got to get out of this, even if they have some early talks?
The conversation is reasonable because, quite honestly, if you slide him into our roster, it feels as though he fits much better than what you see with Lauri Markkanen. He's a natural small forward. And it fits better. And I understand that Jaylen Brown was a top 5 MVP candidate this year and was really fabulous. But Jaylen Brown is not the player that I would make this kind of move for. I don't think he's a number 1, honestly. He's not efficient offensively. Yeah, I mean, basically that's the issue with him. He plays defense. He does everything else. He plays his butt off. He's a top 5 or 6 MVP candidate this last year without Jason Tatum. But I'm not sure I would want to roll out $55-60 million for him, and nor is Boston. And that should actually open your eyes a little bit. So that's I don't want to disparage a top 6 MVP candidate last year, but Jaylen Brown's one that when you dig into the efficiency numbers, you dig into kind of his offensive profile, you dig into he's not the number 1 that's getting you over the top. And I don't want to say I think he's overrated, but I don't think he's a top 5 or top 10 player in the NBA.
+2, man. I'm excited about this Jazz group. I want to see what these guys can do with this coach this season. I don't want another move. I've had too many moves. I want some continuity now.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to just flip to the other side of this argument for a moment. There are some things that are clearly a problem with this roster as it sits right now. And this is the most wonderful thing about what's happened in the Jaren Jackson acquisition and the Darren Peterson drafting, is we can now talk about basketball on a championship level.
Right.
Okay, if you're going to try to really win 50 to 55 games, this roster has the following flaws, and we can discuss it. And those flaws are: we don't have enough ball handling. Jaylen Brown can handle. We don't have enough self-shot creation. Jaylen Brown can self-shot create. We do not have a perimeter defender on the roster. Jaylen Brown's a pretty good on-ball defender. There are reasons why, and there are weaknesses in this current iteration of this roster, even before it plays a game, that are abundantly obvious. And Jaylen Brown does fit all of them. I personally am so obsessed with some of the numbers and offensive efficiency and I don't think you win with it. I have a number of metrics for those who followed me for a long time called points gained. Jaylen Brown is a below average offensive points gained player, which means that if you gave it a collection of average NBA players the same amount of possessions as Jaylen Brown, they actually would score more points than he would. He's just a high-volume offensive player. That is not my preference personally. But on this iteration of the Utah Jazz, we have some pretty glaring weaknesses if we're trying to be a championship team, and Jaylen Brown does address most of them. So it makes sense. I'm just not sure I think he's the guy. And I don't love the number.
Let's assume they don't make that deal. And they keep this roster together, the PK, and lots of fans weighing on Facebook were saying the same thing. Hey, this group looks pretty good. Let's see what they can do. What are you adding first? I think it's 12 spots spoken for, assuming Kessler, Peterson would be 10 guys under contract. They'd be 11, 12. You got 3 spots left. How you deploying the roster spots and the money to shore this group up?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you need probably a backup center, so that's hopefully Nurk, but not a lot of minutes there. We can talk about that on the side note if you want. I'm trying to be brief today. You need another ball handler. We just don't have enough ball handlers. You actually need more shooting. We don't have very good shooting. And in that combination, we need someone tough as PK. We need someone with the grit and toughness of Patrick K. Still not a lot. I don't know if we have toughness, honestly. Like, it's easy to say we don't have it. I've never seen it. Never really asked any of these guys to have toughness either, right? Like, we didn't know that Stephen Castle, maybe we did from UConn, Dylan Harper, Julian Champagny, that these guys had that until they had to. So I guess we'll find out. But as of right now, like, I would like to get somebody on the roster who, as Rudy Tomjanovich talked about, you got to have some guys on the roster that when there's going to be 3 storms a season and they're unfazed. And some guys who also, or even you've lost 2 in a row, the pressure's mounting, you're down by 7, there's 8 minutes left, the crowd's murmuring, and somebody comes in and kicks somebody's you-know-what for a minute and kind of enlivens everything. So like Marcus Smart, Max Strus, Tobias Harris did it for Detroit this year. Like somebody like that, I think we need on this roster.
Can Will Hardy set the tone for that in the way Jerry Sloan did?
Yeah, I think you're in trouble if you're asking your coach to lead you all 82 games.
I didn't say lead. I just said set the tone.
Yeah, I mean, Will's insanely competitive. He'll set that tone and show that expectation. We've seen that out of him. But I'll say it. So, yes, Will can do that. If you are relying on your coach to do that for all 82 games, you're in trouble.
Is there anybody on the Jazz roster who could provide a bit of that or no? The Svi, Konchar, just be the junkyard dog who comes in. And we just didn't see it because there were so many blowout games and they weren't trying to win.
100%. Like, pretty unfair to say these guys aren't tough when they haven't been asked to be. But usually it's someone who's been through a few of the storms of the NBA. Usually it's someone who's, got a little bit of something in their back pocket where they can remember what they've been through before to know that they can get through this now. I think that's what the Knicks had as a group, right, is that they all just guys have all been around a little bit. They're not old, but they've all been around. Like OG had watched the championship team. Kel Bridges had won a national title. Jalen had won a national title. They've just been around, and they were able to carry as a group. Oklahoma City didn't have a lot of that beforehand, though Alex Caruso is that tough guy. They had Isaiah Hartenstein. Those are 2 probably good comparisons to kind of what I'm talking about is that kind of veteran player. I mean, maybe it's Lou Dort. He cannot shoot, but maybe it's Lou Dort who we add to this roster if he becomes available, who can bring you a little bit of that junkyard dog toughness and you figure out a way to make him just good enough offensively.
Darren Peterson, I listened to your thing. You're excited about it, as you should be. Maybe Donovan Mitchell special. And I love Donovan Mitchell. I just don't think that Darren Peterson should settle for that. I think he needs, when it's said and done in 15 or whatever years, he needs to be in the conversation as one of the better all-time guards in the history of the league. That's the standard I'm setting.
If you're a number 1 and number 2 pick, of an NBA draft, and it's a great draft, your goal should be the Hall of Fame. That's where most of them end up. So I don't know if I can go as high as you just went. And again, Mitch Richmond's in the Hall of Fame, so you never know. So maybe it's not as great. Sacramento reference for DJ. The kid should be great. I don't know really how to react to saying he should be one of the greatest guards to ever play the game. I think Ray Allen's one of the greatest guards to ever play the game, so that would be in the mix of possibilities. I don't know if you think Devin Booker is one of the greatest guards to ever play in the game, but I think that's in the mix of possibilities. Donovan is certainly one of the greatest guards to ever play in the history of the game. If he's a 6'6" Donovan Mitchell, he takes care of most of Donovan's weaknesses.
Right.
There's a chance, man. You just don't get talent like this. This is special stuff. He's probably the best player to ever be drafted by the Utah Jazz. No offense to Darren and Daryl Griffith. You just don't get this. This is not the kind of player that to get a player like this, you have to have the right year that you're not good. 2, you have to have lottery luck, and 3, you got to have a draft that has players like this. You could have gotten the Anthony Bennett draft. You could have gotten, the Michael Conley draft. You could have gotten a lot of these others. Even recently, which was a draft, Paul Boncaro, Chet Holmgren, and Jabari Smith 1, 2, and 3. It was a good draft, but it's not that good, right? These guys, all of these guys up top seem like they could be really, really special. They won't be. It's not how it works. But somebody here is going to hit. Someone's going to hit big. And Darren's as likely as any other.
It wasn't that long ago that you were telling us the offense could be running through Ace Bailey. They could be turning over the keys to him by midseason. Now, Peterson figures to have the ball in his hands. Keontae George figures to have the ball in his hands. Is Ace Bailey going to be that awesome? You still think that happens? Does this draft pick change that arc? What are you expecting?
No, I'm all in on Ace Bailey. I think he's great. And I think maybe more importantly, what has maybe not been talked about enough about Ace Bailey is what Ace Bailey showed us in year one is he's about improvement, he's about team, and most importantly, he's about his teammates. There just are not that many guys that are about their teammates. Understandably, the system's not that. PK wasn't about his teammates when he was rising up through the writing ranks in the Daily Breeze. He was about his great piece every day. Most of us weren't. I wasn't particularly interested in the well-being of my teammates at Sports Radio 570. I was pretty interested in my ratings. Let's be perfectly honest about it.
Sure.
At 22 years old, there aren't that many guys that are about their teammates. Ace Bailey's about his teammates. It's really special. He's a neat kid, and he's about improvement. He's about his team and his teammates. And we didn't know that when we drafted him. And that's probably been the biggest revelation about Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey could be great. Ace Bailey could be Tracy McGrady great. Tracy McGrady was 7-time All-Star, 7-time top 10 MVP candidate player. That is a huge comment to say someone could be Tracy McGrady. I think Ace Bailey could be really, really good. He's got some little things he's got to work on. He's allergic to the free throw line. His shot numbers need to be better. They'll get better as he plays with better players. He's got, his hands aren't huge. He's got to figure out how he's going to get a good handle without John Stockton has massive hands. If you go back and look at his combine numbers on that, some of those, he's got a little, but I'm a big Ace Bailey believer. I think I would guess, I do think Will is naturally offensive-minded. I would guess that our closing 5 is Keontae, Darren, Ace, Lowry, and Jaren. If that group shows it can rebound enough to be a closing 5, it may not. You could go to all sorts of people in that setup, right? Your primary set could be a nice little pin down for Lowry and let him turn the corner and all 7-1, Ivan Dragic, power and muscular fit, powering to the rim on somebody, or you're catching Jaren Jackson the right corner for a 3 out of that, which is probably the option that the other team wants. Or you have Darren and Keontae playing off that with Ace. There's a lot of options here that are pretty great. I do think Ace Bailey's 6'9", elevating, getting a shooting pocket, getting a little stronger, working the kid's going to be great. But I'm in on Ace Bailey. I'm in on Darren Peterson. We've got an unbelievable, if things, barring injuries, the good thing is that people got knocked out of their primaries, so we don't have to worry about that. For those who got that joke, that was funny. Something bizarre happening, like a legislator criticizing a player for autistic. that just sours people forever or something crazy. We got a good run here. We got three or 4 years with this group, and then we've got a group that's Ace Bailey, Darren Peterson, hopefully, in whatever pieces you put around it. This is incredible.
Well, I think the flip side to be that, let's just hope the players stay off social media and don't get caught up in that.
Yeah, that could be the flip side, but I don't think anyone really enjoys being insulted. Basically, we don't need to go down the road. It was out of line. I'll stick where I am. I feel pretty comfortable where I am on that one.
We'll leave it right there, David. Thanks as always. We'll talk to you next week.
You bet.
All right, there is David Locke. We'll take a break. When we come back, Brendan Haywood, 14-year NBA veteran, now in the media calling Wizards games. A.J. DeBonset of Washington. He is very high in the future of the Utah Jazz. We'll hear from Brendan Haywood next. Stay with us.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
DJ PK, and now Brendan Haywood joins us, 14-year NBA veteran. You see him on NBA TV. He's college basketball TV analyst as well. Brendan, good morning.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good. We're right in the middle of it. The draft is just recently in the rearview mirror. Here come free agencies and trades. Giannis is on the move. Maybe Brown is next. Let's start with the draft, just because obviously that's big news here in Utah. If you were ruling the world and you were the GM drafting 1, 2, and 3, would the top 3 players have gone in the order they went, or did you see things a little differently? Would you have mixed it up?
Yeah, I probably would have mixed it up a little bit. I think AJ would definitely go number 1. I think AJ and Darren, they were battling back and forth all year long, and just the simple fact that AJ didn't have the cramping issue to worry about, you definitely take him number 1. Number 2, I would have taken Peterson, but at 3, I love Cam Boozer, competed against his dad all my life from college and pro, but I would have went with Caleb Wilson. I just feel like he gives you a higher floor. I'm not saying that just because I'm a Carolina guy, but he's so much more athletic. He's such a better defensive player. He can switch pick and rolls. He gives you rim protection. He finishes strong, and sometimes Cam has a problem finishing over bigger guys. If you watched a lot of the Duke games, and he had to play against when he had to play against guys that were 6'10", 7 feet, that he couldn't bump out the way, he kind of struggled at times. So I probably would have took Caleb at 3.
So the Jazz did take Peterson, and there was that cramping issues. You know, BYU and Utah are in that league. I have a wooden ward vote, so I watched that team, Kansas. Everybody watches Kansas anyway. And when he played, man, he was electric. Particularly, we remember that BYU game in that first half. Wow, he was sensational. As a former player and knowing the grind that is involved in the NBA, and how difficult it is, what's your level of concern regarding the fact of the issues that he had in college?
I'm not really concerned because when I did my research on Darren Peterson, everybody to a man that I knew that I know that scouts basketball, they said the kid's a hard worker. So a guy that's been a natural hard worker doesn't all of a sudden start trying to load manage in college. Like, that's not even what load management is. He's load managing. No, like, to load manage, you have to, like, not play that day. So that's false. So when I did the research, I found out, the kid was a really, really hard worker. He just had these body cramp issues from trying to work too hard. He was taking creatine and trying to work out 3-4 times a day, and he just forced himself into these tremendous cramps. And I'm just thinking to myself, I still like that guy's game because when I watch him play, he scores the ball easy. I called his game versus UCF, and he only played in the first half of that game. But, man, it might have been the easiest 20 I've ever seen scored in college basketball. I'm just like, he looked like he's not even breaking a sweat. Yeah. And what made that game so special is he had been out for like 2 to 3 weeks prior. It was his first game back. And so I just think the sky's the limit for this kid. Legit 6'5" size, the combo guard. And then the biggest thing is if you go back and watch his high school tape, he's more of an on-ball point guard than he was at Kansas. Kansas, they had him playing off the ball a lot. And no disrespect to anybody, but it's going to come off wrong. But Bill Self didn't put that team together well for Darren Peterson. Like you can't have a point guard like Darren Peterson, have him play off the ball, and then don't have any shooters. They didn't have any wing shooters. They didn't have a stretch 4, stretch 5, nothing. That's why St. John was able to beat them the way they did. They just cut the paint off on him and forced him to pass the ball to guys that couldn't shoot. So when I look at Darren Peterson averaging over 20 points per game with the cramping issues, playing against older players in college basketball. College basketball is really old now. Guys are 23, 24 years old, and then doing it with a roster that's probably not that good. No one on that Kansas team was getting drafted. Like, that tells you how good he is. Like, everything was actually set up against him. He had the cramps. He had the bad roster. He didn't have any shooting. He had to play a different style than what we're used to. This kid worked on his game so much, everybody thinks he's a natural shooter. Shooting was actually the part of his game that people were worried about the most coming into college. Utah has a great one. He is going to transcend that franchise.
Wow.
There are people here who think that Ace Bailey's trajectory is fantastic, and we've been told by some people that guy is going to be running the offense by February. That was before Peterson got drafted. And obviously Keontae George had the ball in his hands and made a big step forward. How would you prioritize splitting up, who starts the offense? I mean, once you get into the 24-second clock, all kinds of things can happen. But who starts it and how much of the time? How'd you rank those guys?
Well, I think it's going to start out with Darren Peterson, obviously, because he's the number 2 pick, and then it's going to be Keontae George. Keontae George was great last year. He's gotten better every single year. 13 points as a rookie, 17 as a sophomore. Last year, 24 points per game. The offense is going to be initiated by those two guys. Now, I know Ace Bailey has talent, but as long as those two guys are on the floor, that's where the offense is going to be initiated. Ace Bailey will probably be better served coming off the bench where you can use him as instant offense. Where one of those guys goes off the court and then you bring Ace Bailey in so that you can start running plays directly for him. Because if he's out there with Peterson and if he's out there with George and Jaren Jackson and can't think of the big fella's name.
Kessler.
No.
Marketing Kessler Jackson. Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of marketing name. Like, no, there's not going to be so many shots for Ace Bailey. That's a strong crew. Like, Utah's in a great position. This isn't your average number 2 team. This team has some real ballers. Most number 2 teams come in there. Yeah, we're 3. We don't have much talent. They have front court depth. They have a 24-point per game scored. Like, this team has some bodies. You got a nice young player, Bailey. I like this Utah team.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we were talking to him about, that coming in number 2, it's not a rebuild situation. They're expected to win. It's going to be exciting, particularly after 4 losing seasons in a row in which they were trying to get draft picks and all that stuff, but that's over now. And you spoke of Keontae George, and he's been able to make substantial improvement each year. What do young players need to do in the offseason, particularly in the summer, to make sure that their climb is still on an ascension rather than leveling off? Because it seems like there's so much more to come for all of these younger guys. So I'm just wondering how intense the summer needs to be.
Man, when you're a young player, it is essential that you continue to work on your weaknesses, and then you have to work on what you're going to be able to use. I'll give you an example. I remember one summer I was shooting, I've told this story before, I was shooting step-back jumpers. I was in Charlotte. And rest in peace, I played with a guy in college by the name of Jason Capel. And his father, Jeff, was one of the assistant coaches for Charlotte. And he pulled me to the side. He said, "Hey, Brendan." I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Why are you working on step-back jumpers?" I said, "I'm trying to expand my game." He's like, "Yeah, but do you hit regular jumpers?" I was like, "A little bit." He was like, "Well, how many shots do you get a game?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "You play with Gilbert Arenas." He started running. Antoine James. You think you got 4 or 5 step back jumpers a game for you to take? No. Well, then why are you working on that shot? That shot's not for you. He said you're better off working on your left hand jump hook. You'll get 3 to 4 of those off a game. I'm like, "You're right." So you need to work on for me, my weakness was my left hand, but then I needed to work on something that was more sustainable for me. We see so many young guys trying to work on everything. Like, yeah, I'm working on my tween, cross, and you're looking at them like, bro, you play with 3 All-Stars. Ain't no tween, cross. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, bro. Like, listen, if you play for, you can name any team. If you play for the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel got to touch the ball, Maxey got to touch the ball, Edgecombe, and then Paul George. If you're a young guy working on in and out, spin, cross, hey, bro, you're working on the wrong thing. You better figure out how to play off those guys. That's what young guys need to do. If you're gonna be a marquee guy, work on your weaknesses for your marquee skill set. But if you're a role player, you need to work on what you need to get better at. But at the same time, what fits your team. Like, Danny Green worked on hitting corner threes because guess what? He wasn't going to be able to go tween, cross.
Good point.
Where do you think Jaylen Brown is going to end up, and what is the price tag? What should it be?
I mean, Jaylen Brown has definitely increased the price tag. I don't think there's any chance in the world that Boston can run it back with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that relationship has run its course. I don't think those guys dislike each other. I think it's just simply a difference of opinion of how things should be run. I think the organization and Jason Tatum wanted to go back to the old way. Jaylen Brown was like, no, I just proved to you that I don't have to be anybody's Robin. I just proved to you I could be Batman. And I think when you have that type of mindset to win a championship, everybody has to be pulling in the same direction. So you're not going to win if Jaylen Brown is trying to prove that he should be the team's leading scorer, and then Jason Tatum's over there trying to prove the same thing. It's not going to work. Maybe you do a package deal with New Orleans where you get, I don't know, maybe you get Queen back and Trey Murphy and something else, but I think that Boston will have to move Jaylen Brown. I don't think you can come back and honestly win because I don't think their two best players are going to be on the same page.
We shall see, huh? It'll be interesting. A.J. DeBonson, now you have a little history with the Wizards there. You played there. Now, that's an interesting situation because they're a team that he's joining hasn't been on the floor much together with the Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Sarr came along a little bit last year. How do you think that A.J. needs to be trying to fit in while still being able to assert himself?
I think that, first and foremost, everybody needs to sit down and talk. Hey, what are we trying to do? What's our goals? How are we going to figure this out? What really happens, the teams that don't communicate well, this guy starts thinking one way, that guy starts thinking another way. You got to understand how are we going to go about winning. And at the start of the year, if you got AD and you got Trae Young and you got AJ, you got to figure out how do we go about the process, because we know AD is still a all-star level talent. So is Trae Young, but let's not get it twisted. We know AD Devanska is the future. He is the future in DC. So there has to be this mixing and melting and meshing of offensive concepts and how we win games, and that takes time. But the biggest thing is communicating. It's like, hey, Trae, what do you like in this situation? And Trae doing the same thing. AJ, listen, in tight games, what plays do we want to run? How do we want to get to certain actions? And just figuring it out. But I really like this Wizards team. I think they're going to be underrated. I don't think a lot of people are really seeing them the same way I am. Maybe that's because I call games for them. Who knows? But I love Sarr's development. I love Sarr combined with AD. I think that's a solid defensive front line. Then you Trae Young. He didn't sign for $212 million because he can't play. You know, he's the same age as Austin Reeves, and people are acting like he's like 45. So Trae, I don't understand it. Trae Young's deal is the worst deal ever, but Austin Reeves' deal is good for the Lakers. Like, all right, whatever you want to do, but Trae can still play. I think you team up Trae with AJ, and then some of the young players last year like Trey Johnson, Trey Johnson, and some of the other young guys on this team. I think the Wizards are a sneaky team that can make the playoffs.
You said the Jazz had a strong crew. They have had a good team here multiple times, and then they look over and they're the Lakers. Are the Lakers about to put something together and be really good right when the Jazz are good again? Or do you think that Austin Reeves was good at a $30 million price tag, but I guess Detroit wanted him, so the Lakers had to go big, and they're going to paint themselves into a corner here? What is the Lakers' future?
No one can tell you the Lakers' future until you figure out how they're going to play defense. And that's going to be the problem. You have Austin Reeves, you have Luka Doncic. Okay, now we need rim protection and two-way guys to cover those guys up. If they figure out that problem, they'll be fine. If they don't figure out that problem, they'll be one of those teams that looks good in the regular season but doesn't get it done in the postseason. I'll give you this one for free. If you ever want to spot a fraudulent team in the NBA, look for the team that's really good offensively, but they're ranked like 25th defensively. That team's never winning. That team's never going to win. They'll win. They might win 50 games. They might finish 4th, 5th in the East or the West. But if you can't stop anybody, when these games slow down, when the officials allow that hand-to-hand combat like we were watching in the NBA Finals, when they start allowing the physicality to come back in the game and you don't have these defenders, you're in trouble. And the Lakers right now, they don't have enough defenders to cover up their 2 best offensive players' weaknesses.
Brendan, I'm always fascinated how players, what they do when their career is over and they've had these, whether it's short or long, how they make the adjustment into what I would call real life. And it seems like, at least from the distance, that you made it in a smooth manner. How did you be able to figure out as you were growing older that you were going to use the game rather than let the game use you, and you've made this transition to where you are now, and you're an analyst and a commentator and all that? Because it seems like you must have had some mental preparedness to be ready when that time came.
Well, first and foremost, where a lot of people struggle is basketball was what I did, is not who I am. I love it. But some people, when they step away from the game, they lose themselves because they're no longer hearing the applause. They're no longer playing in front of 20,000. So basketball, I never lost myself like that. I always loved the game, but it wasn't my whole identity. And then throughout that, it just came down to when I was ready to retire, I found something that I thought I was good at and that I liked, and I just stuck with that. And it was, hey, I always loved to talk the game of basketball. Even with these conversations that I'm having you are the same conversations that I have with my best friends on group chats. Like, yo, how good do we think Utah is going to be? Mm-hmm. How are the Lakers going to defend? Like, I found a way to take what I do on a normal basis and get paid to do it. And I love it. And I feel like I've never worked a day in my life. NBA, post-NBA, if you can find something that you like to do but it don't feel like work, that's the path. And so once I retired and I started doing analyst work, I was like, yo, this is the path. This is where I want to – this is where I need to be, because I can paint a picture with my words. I can tell you exactly what I see and why I think it will work or won't work. I won't be right all the time, but a lot of times my experience will lead me to be right, and I can give it to you in a way where it's not super complicated. And that type of style works well for me in this field, and I've been able to just hone my craft and perfect it year after year.
Do players talk to you about that? Do you see guys in the league who are, 28, 30, 32, getting pretty late in their career, quiz you on that? Or do you see guys, veterans, and you think, oh, it's going to be a bumpy road for this guy in a couple of years?
I think everybody's different. We're seeing, first and foremost, now that we have so much direct-to-consumer action, we're seeing so many more podcasts, so many more players are getting in this space because it's more jobs. It used to be, oh, man, if you weren't with one of the networks, that was it. But now it's like, hey, man, you got these podcasts that are doing well. You got Out the Mud with Tony Allen and Zach Randolph. Man, I never even knew Tony Allen could talk when he was in the league. He never got interviewed. Like seriously, when we was with the Celtics, it wasn't like, forget Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, we're going to go interview Tony Allen. Like probably only the local people knew Tony Allen had that much personality. But Tony's great. Zebo is great. You got All the Smoke with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. Jeff Teague is going to be known more for his podcasting than playing basketball. Guarantee it. Like, there's going to be kids in 5, 6, 7 years that aren't even going to realize that Jeff Teague really, really played and was cold and was an all-star, because he has such a platform with 520 and his friends and what they do from a podcast space. So right now, man, we have more players getting involved in that space than ever. And so you see certain guys, I can't tell you who's going to make it and who's not, because from a national stage, they really only want to interview the top 2 or 3 guys. So there's guys that can talk that you never knew could talk. Like, if you go look at I told Udonis Haslem, I said, bro, man, when you had that big old black mouthpiece in your mouth in Miami, I never knew you could speak this well. Like I never knew Udonis Haslem was this well-spoken and this well thought out, and that's why he's thriving in this space. So to answer your question, I can't even judge a book by its cover, because so many of these guys have personality that you didn't even know have it. Because they don't get a chance to show it on a national space.
Brendan, it was great to have you on the air. Share these stories and get your thoughts on some of these moves in the NBA. Thanks for joining us, and continued good luck in your career.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Thanks for having me. And to all your listeners, hey, man, make sure you check out my Instagram, bwood_33, and also go to my other page, Tallest Tale. I'm giving you some of the best NBA stories out there, but I'm mixing them with animation. I guarantee you're going to love it. Also out on YouTube at These Tallest Tales. Tallest Tales, I'm telling you right now, is taking over some of the best content out there. Go check out some of the stories. I guarantee you're going to come back.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you, Brendan.
Appreciate it.
All right, there is Brendan Haywood. Coming up, Steve Cleveland will join us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Mike Holta, radio voice of the Utah Mammoth, at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. What is trending? The headlines are next.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.